Hello students, today I am going to explain chapter 1 from Vistas, the third level by Jack Finney. Let's see the characters. Charlie, a 31-year-old protagonist, Louisa, his wife, and Sam, the psychiatrist. The third level by Jack Finney is about the harsh realities of war. War has irreversible consequences, thus leaving people in a state of insecurity. In this story, a man named Charlie hallucinates and reaches the third level of the Grand Central Station, which only has 2 levels. Let's start the explanation. The author talks about the Grand Central Station of New York, which has 2 levels. But Charlie talks about that there are 3 levels and there is a third level too. Not only does he believe in the existence of the third level, but also claims that he had been to the third level also. He visits a psychiatrist friend to talk about his problem, and the psychiatrist calls him as a waking dream wish fulfillment and rationalizes Charlie's psychology by saying that the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, worry, and war, and everybody wants to escape these insecurities. And he is also trying to escape to some temporary refuge from reality. According to the psychiatrist, Charlie was unhappy, the fact that his wife did not like, and upon explaining further, it became clear that it is the burden of all the modern problems that is pushing him to experience the apparent perception of something which is not present. He tends to escape the reality. Charlie agreed with what his psychiatrist friend had to say, but he still found it a bit odd to have been to the third level of the Grand Central Station. Charlie begins to believe in the possibility that he has been experiencing all this to escape the harsh realities of the modern world. His friends agreed to it as well. Even his stamp collecting is a sort of asylum he resorts to in order to feel protected. On the other hand, he starts thinking otherwise. His grandfather started his stamp collection, but in those days they had not seen the consequences of war and there was peace, harmony, and security. His grandfather must have not been insecure. The collection, moreover, was amazing with blocks of 4 of practically every US issue. Even President Roosevelt collected stamps. He starts explaining what exactly happened and begins with how he chose to take the subway to his apartment instead of the usual bus after a late night shift. He did this in order to save time. He describes himself as an ordinary man of 31, dressed in a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. It was so ordinary that he could see other similar men at the station. He explains how he was in his normal state of mind, not wanting to escape from anywhere. All he wanted was to be with his wife Louisa at this hour. He still doesn't understand why this happened to him. Charlie comes to the part of the incident where he entered the Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and took the stairs to the first level where one boarded trains like the 20th century. Then he went down another floor to reach the second level from where the suburban trains leave. From there, he entered an arched doorway and got lost. It was nothing unusual for him because even if he had come to that station 1,000 times, there were occasions he bumped into new corridors and doorways. Once he entered the wrong lobby and reached Roosevelt Hotel, and another time in an office building which was 3 blocks away. He wondered that Grand Central was expanding at a very fast rate, just like a tree and with its root. He also thought that maybe there is a secret tunnel under the city to the Times Square or maybe the Central Park. He feels it might be because Grand Central is a place of exit for innumerable people. He also managed to escape reality because of the same reason, although he never shared it with his psychiatrist friend. The unusual corridor he had entered into began angling left and slanting downward, which he felt odd about, but nevertheless he kept on walking. There was no one except him, and the voice of his feet echoed. He finally heard the sound of people talking from a distance. Then he took a left and walked down the stairs again, only to reach the third level of the Grand Central. He thought he had somehow made his way back to the second level, but as he noticed the room was smaller, there were fewer ticket windows and train gates, and the information booth in the center was wood and old looking. The man in the booth was also different, and the station was dim lit, for there were open flame gaslights. There were brass spittoons on the floor, and across the station, a glint of light caught his eye. A man was pulling a gold watch from his vest pocket. Suddenly, he noticed that everyone was dressed like the 19th century. It was basically the time before deadly wars. So many beards and fancy mustaches all around, something that the protagonist had never seen before. He even saw a very small Courier and Ives locomotive, which made him sure about which time he is in. To validate his suspicion, he went over to the newspaper boy who was selling The World, a newspaper which was discontinued years ago. There were some headlines about the then President Cleveland. The date on the front page was also June 11, 1894. He was now sure that he was at the third level. Immediately he went to the ticket window to get the tickets for Galesburg, Illinois for him and his wife. It was a wonderful town with a lot of greenery. He was well aware that from here one could buy ticket that would take them anywhere in the United States. He describes how things were in 1984 before the two world wars took place. Evenings were twice as long as they are now, and men and women living in peace and serenity. As the clerk calculated the fare, he looked at Charlie's fancy headband. Charlie just had enough for one-sided journey. Just as he took out money, the clerk informed that this is not the acceptable legal money by any chance. If he tries to be smart, he won't be able to get away with it. He glanced at his cash drawer and realized that currency used back then was different and almost double the size. He ran out because he didn't want to go to jail. And for going to the third level, he needed old currency bills. But as at that moment he didn't have, he just came back from the third level and rushed out. The day ended after he came out. The next day he went to withdraw his entire savings and got them converted into old money by paying some amount of premium. It cost him much and even worried his psychiatrist friend, but he still went with it. Back then, the narrator says that even egg cost 13 cents a dozen. But unfortunately, he could never find the way to the third level corridor again despite hard efforts. His wife Louisa was pretty worried when she got to know about it all. After a while, he went back to finding distractions with the help of stamps. Somehow, Sam the psychiatrist disappeared out of the blue. Charlie suspected that he had gone to Galesburg. He finds himself in the time space of 1894. One night, Charlie came across a first day cover. It is an envelope that stamp collectors mail to themselves on the first day of its sale to mark the date. They just put a blank paper inside that is not meant to be opened. That night he found by surprise one of his grandfather's old first day covers. Someone had mailed it to his grandfather at his home in Galesburg, as he saw from the address on the envelope. The postmark showed that it had been there since July 18, 1894. The stamp had a picture of President Garfield on it. It was a 6-cent, dull brown color stamp. His grandfather had put it in his stamp collection, and Charlie now had discovered it. The paper inside and a letter written in it. The letter talked about how the writer wished his third level story was true until he actually started believing it to be true. He had found the third level and had been there for 2 weeks. He describes the place he was at that time. He asks Charlie and Louisa to never stop searching for the third level and to come back again to the place. The letter had been signed off as Sam. Charlie found out from the coin store that he used to visit He also found out that Sam had exchanged $800 for some old currency bills, and maybe he has established his business of hay feed and grain in Galesburg. The letter was written by Sam Weiner, who was also Charlie's psychiatrist. Sam also had explained how he could not go back to his profession of psychiatrist, as Galesburg, Illinois was a place full of serenity. The story ends at a mysterious note where Charlie is wondering that Sam is his psychiatrist. With this, we conclude the chapter, The Third Level, written by Jack Finney.